The year was 2002 and the PS2 had been on store shelves for about 2 years, and still the only Tekken game released was Tekken Tag, which was a launch title for the PS2 back in 1999. Obviously Namco had something brewing, and that something was Tekken 4. Looking back at Tekken 4, it's easy to see why fans of the franchise see it as one of the low points in the series' history. It changed a lot of things Tekken fans had become accustomed to, but after 20 years and way more games releasing in the series, can we look back at Tekken 4 a bit more fondly? Hello and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been quite a while since I last uploaded. It's been about over 3 months now. Tekken 8 comes out next week and I'm still on the PS2 games. I said I was going to get it done, but you know, things happen. But I'm back now, and today I'm talking about Tekken 4. As you already know, you've seen the intro already. This is one of my favourite Tekken games of all time, but it is also everyone else's least favourite Tekken game. I don't know how to explain that, but that's what this video is. That's what I'm going to try and do. So yeah, I've got nothing else to say. This is Tekken 4. We're back on it. We're back talking about the Tekken games. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. After the release of Tekken Tag, it was clear that the franchise needed to be pushed further into the next gen of consoles. You see, by the early 2000s, 3D games had become the norm and became way more sophisticated than ever before. It was clear the Tekken franchise needed to change with the times to try and keep up with games like Dead or Alive 2 and Soul Calibur, and that is exactly what the development team did.
Tekken 4, rated T for teen.
The game's intro FMV does a really great job of setting up what Tekken 4's main focus will be, and that is its story. In the past, most Tekken intros have little to no ties to the game's story. In Tekken 4, it's the main focus, with just a few scenes focusing on the game's new characters. The intro mostly focuses on the return of Kazuya into the main story, with Heihachi and Kazuya now being fully voiced and the main story being front and centre. I wouldn't say the visuals in the intro are a massive step up from Tekken Tag's intro, but the fact that it focuses on setting up the story, which then all other games in the series would then follow, definitely earns it some bonus points. Tekken 4 is the first game in the series to get rid of the rolling menu players were so used to at this point, instead opting for a more modern and minimalist approach for its menu. It's something that would become the standard for the series, and it would be no surprise if Tekken 8 sticks to the same format. In terms of actual game modes though, this is where things get a bit more complicated. Game modes get taken out, old modes come back in, and a few new modes get added here and there. Just know that Tekken 4 keeps all the basic modes, that includes arcade, time attack, survival and team battle. It also sees the return of Tekken Force mode, which this time around feels a lot more polished and fleshed out, with fully developed stages, way more enemies to take on, and also adopts a third person view, so no more waiting for enemies to cross an invisible wall to attack them. Tekken Force is still just a nice little distraction from the main game, no ties to the story, and this time no secrets to unlock by completing it. Still a decent way to kill some time. Another new mode is Training Mode, which acts as a sort of tutorial for the game. You get to pick a character, maybe one you rarely use, and then the game teaches you some of their best attacks and combos. I tried this with Xiao Yu, as she's a character I rarely use, and I've got to be honest, it made it a lot easier to play as her in the game. It's a great addition for beginners or players who want to learn a new character or new combos for their favourite characters. The last new mode I'm going to talk about is technically a mode that's always been there, but has been renamed, this being Story Mode. Story Mode replaces the traditional arcade mode from previous games. Arcade mode is still there, though acting as a way to play against endless CPU opponents. The main difference Story Mode brings is the character's prologues. Every character's playthrough now starts with a little intro, accompanied by these still images and narration.
Kazuya was infuriated by Heihachi's interference once again. He was determined more than ever to exact his vengeance. Kazuya was not fooled by the sudden announcement of the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4. He knew that it was a trap, orchestrated by Heihachi to lure him out. Despite this knowledge, Kazuya enters the tournament. This is his chance to defeat Heihachi.
These prologues are great and tell each character's story better than ever before. They give you the reasons and motivations for each character entering the tournament, and also their relationships with other characters within the world. This was one of the biggest steps forward in the way Tekken tells its stories, and it will become a staple in the franchise from here on out. Tekken 4 definitely has enough modes to keep you entertained for a few hours. Although it is missing some of the more out there modes like Tekken Ball and Tekken Bowling, it still offers a lot to play around with. Oh, for God's sake, what are you doing? Oh, look, he's finally decided to turn up. It's been 3 months. GTA 6 got announced, got revealed while you've been gone. You know, I've been away, I've had a lot of stuff going on, so I haven't really had time to, or even the motivation to record any videos, but I'm here now. You know what, I don't actually care. Oh, I've got a hole in my roof. No one cares. Okay, me and the 5 other people who watch your videos have been waiting patiently for your next video. Well look, I'm back, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to write a script, I'm going to record, I'm going to edit, I'm going to do all that now. That's what I'm doing. Oh, you're here now to record and write the script. Yeah, of course, that's what you always say. You're not actually going to do it though, are you? Do you know what, I thought you'd be back, so I've got you a little present. I know it's going to take you a while to write the script, as it always does. So I've written the story part of the script for you. Here it is. Do you even want to know what's on this? Okay, so it's a stick drawing of Kazuya and Heihachi, and Kazuya is saying to Heihachi, "Fist me, daddy." It's his dad. It's the King of Iron Fist tournament. What's not to get? Do you know what? That is absolutely disgusting. I don't even know why you even bother. Just leave, please. Ruining my art yet again. Look, I'm here to do the video, so can you just, you know, in a kind way, fuck off. I can't leave until you sort of go around the other way though. What do you mean? We haven't figured out how to do that yet. Oh. I know what you mean. Okay, don't worry. I will stand over here. Okay, thank you. Right then, let's leave. I am leaving. I will see you later. See you later. Come on in. I'll just... Right then, see you in a bit. Don't have too much mustard, or whatever you do, you weird hot dog thing person. Let's get this video done. Anyway, seeing as Tekken Tag didn't have a story, it's been quite a while since I've actually spoken about the story of the franchise, so if you haven't already, check out the previous game videos, I'll leave a link down below. Tekken 4 takes place 2 years after the events of Tekken 3, where Jin's ending is canon. In this ending, Jin defeats Truoga and is then congratulated by his grandfather Heihachi with a bullet to the face. This family, man.
The world will be open.
But because death doesn't really exist in the Tekken universe, Jin rises back up and has now transformed into his devil form, and returns the favour to Heihachi by twatting him straight through a brick wall. You can just walk that off, Heihachi lad. Anyway, 2 years after the events of Tekken 3, with Jin still missing, Heihachi discovers that Kazuya, who hasn't been seen since Tekken 2, which took place 20 years before, was alive all this time, and had been working with a company called G Corporation to compete with the Mishima Zaibatsu, and also help him control and better understand his devil gene. Heihachi, now knowing that both Jin and Kazuya are alive, sees this as a perfect opportunity to capture them both, and announces the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4. The majority of the information I got for the story was from the game itself, thanks to the prologues I spoke about earlier, which goes to show how much of an improvement the storytelling in Tekken 4 is compared to the older games in the series. Right then, I guess it's time to talk about the gameplay of Tekken 4, which is probably one of the reasons the game is so controversial. With tons of balancing issues and game-breaking exploits, this makes it one of the most broken games in the franchise. This was probably a major factor in negative reception from competitive players and the reason Tekken saw a decline in esports and competitive competitions. One of the biggest changes comes in the form of the stages. Rather than sticking to the old formula of infinite stages, Tekken 4 changes this up completely, with more restricted and realistic stages, with walls that can be interacted with, and also structures in the actual stage, like phone boxes, pillars, and this hut on the beach stage, that are all able to be interacted with. And I don't remember them ever getting in the way, but it's still kind of cool being able to interact with them, even if it is just to confuse the AI. But from a casual perspective, there's a lot to like about Tekken 4's gameplay. It's a lot smoother and responsive than any other game in the franchise up to this point, and also the training mode I mentioned earlier, helping newcomers to the series get adjusted to the controls. All in all, the gameplay of Tekken 4 is pretty good and one of the most unique offerings in the series, and is definitely the foundation of the more modern games in the franchise, and I always like to come back to play it every now and again because of that. And of course, it's time to talk about one of the most important parts of any Tekken game, and that is the characters. The best way to describe Tekken 4's roster of characters is quality over quantity. After Tekken Tag's massive 39 character roster, the developers decided to cut the character selection down to just 23, the same amount of characters as Tekken 3. In Tekken 4's defence, there was a lot more going on overall in the game's development. Tekken Tag always felt like Tekken's answer to Mortal Kombat's trilogy game, almost a best of collection for the PS2, so I can only assume bringing every single character over from previous games and not having to worry about any FMV endings for any of them was a lot simpler than the task of creating Tekken 4. And having a smaller cast of characters paid off, with all of them looking great and also having really great endings in the story mode. Even though I can see why people would be disappointed with the likes of Jack and Armor King missing from the roster, I think the team over at Namco did a great job with the characters they selected, offering a lot of different characters who play completely different to each other, rather than just some glorified palette swaps. Of course, we had all the series favourites like Yoshimitsu, Nina and Paul all returning to the game, and of course some new characters to introduce, these being Craig Marduk, a famous ex-MMA star fresh out of prison for murdering an opponent in the ring, Steve Fox, a decorated boxer from the UK who is on the run from the Mafia after refusing to fix a fight, and Christy Montero, the granddaughter of Eddie Gordo's fighting instructor. After Eddie escaped prison, he vowed to teach Christy the art of capoeira. After this, Eddie would go missing, which is why Christy enters the tournament in the first place. You know, to find him. This was a few years before you could just post about a missing person on Facebook, so you had to do it the hard way. And by that I mean entering a fighting tournament and beating up endangered animals and beating up an old man with his butt cheeks hanging out. Again, I know all this about these characters' stories from just what the game tells me in the prologues and epilogues. And there's also Combot, who's just Mokujin, just a little bit more shiny. No, more shiny than that. There you go. And on top of that, there's two secret characters, that being Maharu, Chow Yu's school friend, and Eddie Gordo, who doesn't really need an introduction. They are only unlocked after beating the story mode with either Chow Yu or Christy respectively, and are really just palette swaps for these characters. Neither of them having their own endings or even moveset, just sharing with their counterparts. So yeah, Tekken 4's roster is quite small compared to Tekken Tag's massive one, but you could argue that Tekken 4 does a way better job at fleshing out each individual character and gives them more purpose within the game. It's time to talk about Tekken 4's stages and music, and I've got to say personally they're some of the best. Not the most iconic, but in their own way, give the game more personality than others in the franchise. Tekken 4 would be the last game in the series where all the stages feel connected, whether that be through the visuals or the music. Tekken 2, 3 and Tag all felt like they had some sort of theme, whether that be Tekken 2's dark and gloomy atmosphere or Tekken 3's grungy street feel. Tekken 4 has a more modern, simplistic aesthetic. I can't really explain why I like it so much. It's a similar feeling I get about walking around the mall in Dead Rising 1, but I absolutely love it. If anyone knows what this early 2000s modern, clean sort of aesthetic is called, please let me know in the comments below. The stages that pull this off the best are the mall stage and the airport stage. All of the stages in the game look amazing and have a really high attention to detail. With this being the first game to have fully rendered 3D stages in the series, they absolutely knocked it out the park. And one more thing, they're fucking massive. Yeah, I don't know why they're so big, but it means that matches can start in different parts of the stage, keeping things fresh and making it feel like there are way more stages than there actually was. Overall, the stages of Tekken 4 are great and a massive improvement visually, and the music is great too, fitting each stage perfectly and adding to that modern, clean aesthetic I spoke about earlier. And of course, here are some of my favourites. And my favourite stage of them all has to be Building. Yeah, it's a bit of a shit name, but I love this stage. From the visuals on top of this intimidating high-rise skyscraper with massive statues everywhere and a helicopter flying over in the distance, it sets up this epic fight that's about to take place, and the music definitely complements that in the best way. It's one of the best and just goes to show sometimes the simpler stages can have the biggest impact, and all of them still hold up today and look absolutely stunning. After After 3 games of having supernatural monsters like Devil, Ogre and Unknown, Tekken 4 decided to be a bit more realistic in its approach to its final boss, and of course, that was Heihachi. And this time exposing the world to his crusty old man booty cheeks.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
Not gonna lie, facing Heihachi at the end of the game is a bit of a letdown. After the bosses being these impressive, larger than life characters, and then going back to just Heihachi, it's a bit anticlimactic. I think either Kazuya or Jin's devil forms would have been perfect for the final boss of this game. And plus, Heihachi's quite easy to beat. On a positive note, the stage is pretty good and actually feels like the final stage of a fighting tournament. Some characters have different fights to end their story mode, like Hwoarang facing Jin in the parking lot and Kazuya also taking on Jin instead of Heihachi being the final boss. After you beat Heihachi though, you obviously get the characters' endings, which Tekken 4 has some of the best in the series. This was a massive leap forward in terms of visuals and storytelling. All the characters are now fully voiced, and thanks to the prologues, the endings make way more sense, and actually makes playing through the game with all the characters a lot more fun to do. You have the usual comic relief characters like Kuma and Panda, and also a pretty interesting crossover between Nina, Steve and Lei's ending, all taking place in the same location with different outcomes. And you also get the really creepy ending for Kazuya, which I'm sure gave me nightmares as a kid. The endings really have come a long way since the ones we saw on the PS1, and would really set the bar quite high for future games. Looking back at Tekken 4, it's easy to see why so many players dislike the changes the game made to Tekken's winning formula, but what the game did in terms of visuals and its storytelling really brought the series into the 2000s, because after all, this was a new century of fighting. So that is it for Tekken 4. It's still one of the most divisive games in the franchise between the community, the fans. I personally love it. I think it's one of the best. It still looks amazing to this day. It's over 20 years old now, but it still looks just as good as it did back then. Obviously I need to do a tier list, and this might be a bit controversial, but Tekken 4 is going in the S tier because it's my favourite. I don't care if you hate that decision, leave a comment down below, but I love this game. It's one of my favourites and I can't get over it. Obviously there are better games in the franchise that play better, that you could say look better, but there's just something unique about this game. It's one of the most unique offerings in the franchise, and I think that's why I love it so much. It does something that not a lot of the other games do, and yeah, it's just unique. It's Tekken 4. That's all I can say. It's Tekken 4, and that's why I'm giving it an S rating. You know, some people might like that, some people might disagree with that. But what do you think about Tekken 4? Have you played it? Have you not played it? What's your thoughts on it? Do you like it as much as I do, or do you just think it's a bag of shit like everyone else? Let me know down in the comments below. But other than that, that is it for Tekken 4. I've enjoyed playing this, and yeah, I am kind of gutted it's over, to be honest. I will be playing this again soon. Not on video, obviously, but, you know, in my spare time. Obviously, that is it for Tekken 4. Up next is, of course, Tekken 5. It's the last game of the PS2 era, which I'm very excited to talk about. It does a lot of things different to what Tekken 4 does, but we'll have to wait and see that. Obviously, that video will be out after Tekken 8 releases, so I'm going to do like my first thoughts on a Tekken 8 sort of video type thing. Yeah, I know this has took a long time to get this series done. I started Tekken 1 back in March of last year, and I probably won't finish this series until March this year or even after. Yeah, the last half of 2023 was quite shit. It was kind of bad for loads of different reasons, and it just made me unmotivated to make videos. And yeah, that's why you saw my uploads slowly start to stop. And then after October, I didn't want to make any videos because I just didn't have the motivation, and that's pretty much it. There was no, like, you know, my computer was thrown out the window or anything like that. It was just genuinely, it was here, I could do it, I just didn't want to. That's the truth. I'm back now. It has been fun sitting back in this chair, sitting back at the computer. He's dead. What? But yeah, anyway, as I said, I've enjoyed sitting back in this chair, editing, recording, all that good stuff. It's been fun again, so I'm very motivated again to do videos and to get this series out the way. As much as I love it, I'm sick of playing Tekken games now, and I shouldn't say that the week before a new one releases, but I kind of am, and I want to talk about different series. I've got ideas in my head for different franchises I want to talk about, so yeah, very excited for this year. Hopefully it's It's a good year. That well planned. I was wearing this top before I started recording this video, so there we go. Hopefully it's a good year. That was a shit joke. I've got nothing else to say. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Please like the video. Please comment down below your opinions on the Tekken games, on this Tekken game in particular. I've not really got nothing else to say other than the socials will be down in the comments below. I do post on there now and again when I'm updating on videos, so if you want to keep up to date with that, follow me down below. Or just subscribe, turn notifications on, and obviously you'll get the videos as soon as they drop. So yeah, that is it. Thanks for watching. Glad to be back, and I'll see you when I see you.